It is often when life is the most uncertain, when things are a little bit foggy, we don't know where to go, what's going on, how to go about things. That's where the most magic occurs. Think about this. Sometimes things have to fall apart in order to come together. Sometimes things have to end for new things to begin. Sometimes we have to allow something to expand before it naturally begins to shrink of its own accord. No dirty thoughts here, though. That's funny. Today is all about surrender and the life-changing power of surrender, especially during a time like this, especially when we have the Venus-Mercury retrograde ingress back to Pisces, conjunct Neptune. Venus will conjunct the North Node and also Saturn as well. I believe Mercury is going to as well, but talk about grace. Talk about the need to surrender. So whenever we are in between eclipses, I've explained this multiple times, it's a very karmic time. It's a very intense time. Things may be falling apart. You don't know why. You don't know how they're going to land together. But the only way through is by cultivating virtue. And I spoke about patience yesterday. And I wanted to speak today about I almost wanted to say presence, but I think these two things are synonymous. Surrender. Today is all about the life-changing power of surrender. Now, surrender is not the same as giving up. Okay, a lot of people think when we surrender, it's about giving up, while surrender is actually the opposite of that. Surrender is being present enough to accept whatever is. Shout out to NN for joining in. And when we surrender to what is, and when we accept the present moment, then and only then are we able to view it from a place of empowerment or action, if there's any action that's needed. Shout out to Jeremy and shout out to Yuki Music joining in the chat. Of course you can. 2 Sigmas. Big shout out to 2 Sigmas. So if you're in a place where things are uncertain or confusing, things seem like they're falling apart, shout out to Love Me 14. Love Me. And that's a good screen name, because during this magical process of surrendering and grace and acceptance, this is where we get the chance to really tap in and tune into ourselves and ask ourselves important questions. Is this what I want? Is this the path that I would like to go? Is this the best and highest outcome? Or are there more facts that I need to learn and understand? We are in a very important time. We just had the eclipse, all right? Shout out to 2 Sigmas. ×2, baby, let's go. We are in between eclipses right now. So we had the eclipse, the lunar eclipse on when was it? It was about 2 weeks ago. On the 29th, we're going to have another eclipse. So typically, in ancient astrology, and this is actually a good one. In ancient astrology, whenever the sun and moon would form a full moon or a new moon during the ecliptic pathways of the sun and the moon, which is how we get eclipses. And it's interesting because NN stands for North Node. Now, these aren't necessarily astronomical or astrological things, but they are mathematical points. They are the ecliptic pathway of the moon and the sun. Shout out to the K-Rail. And the North Node, NN, actually represents our destiny, what we are moving towards. So these two mathematical equations got activated. Okay, these mathematical points got activated. And now we are on our way towards destiny. And typically anytime when we are on this way to greater alignment with the self, with our highest will, there's some things that we have to let go of. Or there are certain people, places, and situations that no longer belong in our life. And it's a difficult thing, right? Because whether it's a friend you've been friends with for a long time, a relationship that has reached its end, maybe even a job that is no longer satisfying you. When we get to these points, instead of panicking and freaking out, we have to surrender. We have to tune in and tap in. And I fully acknowledge letting go of things isn't easy. I fully acknowledge that. You know, I personally had a hard time too. There's some things in my personal life that's happening right now that's not so easy to let go of. I feel like I'm in like this very intense period of reviewing what belongs and what does not. So thank you for that comment. Love me. Love me 14. But the important thing is to continue and to not give up, because nobody said life is going to be easy. And I don't care with all this like manifesting, you know, like all these spiritual gurus and whatever. Human beings, our knowledge is very limited. So is our imagination. You don't know what you don't know. And what if it's better than you can even imagine? There's a lot of people who want to create this circumstance, because they think that it'll make them feel better. But I challenge you to feel better now. And one of the ways that we can do that is by accepting whatever is. Right? Shout out Eckhart Tolle. I have this new journal right now. It's called the Power of Now Journal. I'm going to flip it open. Let's flip it open to a random page. He's got quotes everywhere. And yeah, I want to... Ooh, this is amazing. Become an alchemist. I missed this one. Become an alchemist. Transmute base metals into gold. Suffering into consciousness. Disaster into enlightenment. Okay. The first light of dawn was filtering through the curtains. Without any thought, I knew that there is infinitely more to light than we realize. That soft luminosity filtering through the curtains was love itself. And it's got this, it's a journal, right? And it's got this curtains in the back. there's more to light. I want to, this is profound actually. The first light of dawn was filtering through the curtains. Without any thought, I felt I knew that there is infinitely more to light than we realize. When we think of light, when I think of light, it makes things clear, right? And right now we are in the dark of the moon, leading up to this new moon that's going to happen, this solar eclipse that's going to happen on the 29th of March. And so in the dark of the moon, typically things are exactly that. They are dark, right? But when we get to that new moon, that solar eclipse, things all of a sudden begin to shift and change. And from then on, the moon begins to grow in light. And speaking of light, the moon has no light of its own. The moon in astrology represents our emotions. And the sun, our presence. And when these two come together, we are planting a new seed. New moons always represent new beginnings. And eclipses, especially a solar eclipse, is a powerful new beginning. So right now things may not be certain, things may not be clear, but I think through the power of surrender, we are able to accept what is and move towards what will be. Especially yesterday, I spoke of patience, the need to be patient. And today, the theme is surrender. Shout out to everybody in the chat showing love. Let's do another one. That's kind of what was inspired. Right, this is a journal. Right, I started this journal recently. All right, maybe we get something for all of us. Wow. When you wash your hands, pay attention to all the sense perceptions associated with the activity. The sound and feel of the water, the movement of your hands, the scent of the soap, and so on. This is part of what I preach and teach. Is there's three things in order for us to fully be here now, and that is to pay attention, be present, stay alert. And this passage purely talks about presence. This book really has helped me through this uncertainty that I've been facing. One, because it's a journal, and I get to journal my thoughts. I think journaling is a fantastic way to get your thoughts to paper. And North Node, let me answer your question. I go live Sunday to Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I was going to say specific. 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I hope if you're new here that you are subscribed and have the notifications on so you do not miss a live stream. Sunday to Friday, 6 p.m. PST. Take care, my man or my friend. Thanks for joining. The K-Reel says the light outside during an eclipse is crazy. And I agree. I totally agree with that. I watched a lunar eclipse. It was just so potent. But again, let's go back to this. When you wash your hands, pay attention to all the sense perceptions associated with the activity. The sound and feel of the water. The movement of your hands. Take care, NN. The scent of the soap, and so on. I think it's a powerful thing to engage in whatever activity is presenting itself to you. I think that is the only certainty that we are guaranteed, is that sense of presence, right? In a sense, surrendering to the moment at hand. And if it feels uncomfortable, if whatever feels uncomfortable, the quickest way out of that discomfort is either action, if there's something you feel like you could do to make yourself feel better, or acceptance, accepting how you feel. Especially as a man, it's like, it's tough for men to, and I have a Capricorn moon, so that just adds a whole other layer. But for men, it's tough to feel our feelings. We like to rationalize and think about our feelings and try to negotiate with our feelings, but feelings are meant to be felt. They're not, they're part of the response of the body. And I do believe emotions associated with the element of water are the bridge, the gateway to the spiritual realm. Because in a sense, we are surrendering. The healthy, emotionally intelligent person surrenders to their emotions and doesn't try to rationalize or negotiate and be like, oh, I don't want to feel this right now, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't try to push it down and try to suppress it. There's this full acceptance of the moment, of how they feel. That is the power of surrender, and that is why surrender is a gateway to presence and the eternal now, as Eckhart Tolle famously speaks about. So whenever you're doing anything, be present, pay attention, stay alert, like be in the moment. If you're washing your hands, you're fully having the experience of that. If you're speaking in front of a camera, fully accept the words you speak, the emotions you feel, the people who jump in the chat. Because that's the gateway to surrender. That's how you stay present. That's how you surrender to what is. And you're able to be that much more gracious with life, more patient with life. Yesterday I spoke about patience. Today is about surrender. And another way to speak of surrender, and the word surrender, is another word synonymous to surrender is grace. Right? You're fully acceptant of what is. You are in complete grace with life, with reality. And the beauty is, if there's something that you don't like, shout out to TMS, join in the chat. And the beauty is, if there's something that you don't like, you change it. You move towards what you do want versus what you don't want. But you can't know what you don't want if you are not self-aware, if you are not fully in the moment. And we do live in a world where there's a lot of things distracting us, which is fine, right? I'm definitely guilty of scrolling and, video games and, all this escapism. That's fun. And I mean, it's part of being human, right? But most of the time, we know what we want. Most of the time. And if we don't know what we want, that in itself is a knowing. It's a powerful knowing too. I know that I don't know. How many times have you heard that before? I know that I don't know. So, if you don't know, if you're feeling uncertain, accept it. Be in grace. Surrender. Do what you can to make yourself feel better, get more certainty. Like I said, I really like to journal. I love to come on here and talk about things, maybe talk to a friend about how I'm feeling. So, surrender to what is. Let's do another one. I want to do one more of this. I think these have been pretty powerful, pretty insightful. this is a good one. Wow. This is kind of what we were talking about. This is what we were kind of talking about. Problems are mind-made and need time to survive. They cannot survive in the actuality of the now. Focus your attention on the now and tell me what your problem you have in this moment. And tell me what problem you have in this moment. That's some food for thought right there for sure. There's so many things that I want to create in life, guys, when it comes to my music, when it comes to getting myself out there. But most importantly, the dream that I have is not necessarily make a whole bunch of money or become famous, but it is to be free. It is to be free to be myself and to do the things that I love doing and have enough time for me to do those things. Do whatever I want, right? If I want to spend time with family, I go spend time with family. If I want to go to work, I go to work, right? I don't think it's in my nature. I'm a Capricorn rising. It's not in my nature to want to not work because I'm always, shout out my Capricorn risings. The money is always on the mind, or at least building, or rather climbing up the mountain, because it's not always about money. It's about resources, and sometimes resources are intangible, like time. Time is the most precious resource. How many times have you, no pun intended, heard that said to you before? Time is the most precious resource. And I believe in that, because if you are a master of time, if you have time on your hands, you can create what you want to create. But, I understand like circumstances prevent people from being free with their time, whether it's you work with somebody or, the responsibilities happen. But my goal personally is not to get money, become famous, even though, great, like I think those things are fantastic. But the most important thing for me is freedom. That is my dream, is to be free. And my passion is creativity. To be able to create, to be able to share my voice, right? This is a thought that I had earlier. I was like, it's so beautiful for me to come on here and just speak and tell you guys about my experience. This is an astrology vlog, essentially, right? A spiritual vlog, whatever. But it's so beautiful because I get to come on here and basically improvise. This is not something I've really done before. Like maybe those stories, like 20, 30 seconds, whatever. But these are like 30-minute conversations, monologues that I'm having, and my voice is the instrument, right? Whereas there's my musical aspect and musical side where I actually like play the santur, play different instruments. It's important to utilize your time wisely as well. And the only way to get to this creative freedom is by being aware and self-aware, right? They say, know thyself. It has been said, know thyself, for many, many, many centuries. And that simply means know who you are and why you're here. And if you don't know, seek and you shall find. Ask and it shall be given. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. We don't live in an indifferent, cold, harsh universe. I really truly believe that love is the guiding principle in our lives. Think about your life. Think about how many times things just looked like they were falling apart, but at the end, they just came together. And from that A to B, you had the journey, that first point and the final point, the beginning and the destination. You had the journey. And throughout that journey, you have the ability, and you were a master of your perception or lack thereof. You might have looked at it and been like, oh my God, like this doesn't make any sense. Why am I going through this? Why is this happening to me? But then you get to your destination, which we all do. This is the truth. We all get to our destination. And the ultimate destination, well, there's one thing that's guaranteed in life. So, from birth to that point, we have the ability to be fully present with ourselves, with our desires, our wants, our needs. I'm not saying act on every whim or desire, but be present enough to know and be connected to reality. Because if you are, you're constantly in an upward trajectory, right? There are times where you take bold risks towards your dreams, other times where you're just in the helm, just working. Just like me right now. You know, I run a full-time business, family business, and then afterwards I do this, and I know you guys follow this channel. I'm releasing 1 video a week, 3 YouTube shorts a day. You know, I'm just trucking along. I don't know where this is all going to end, and this is part of my uncertainty. But I know that this is what I want to do. This is why I'm doing it, is because it brings me joy. It's work, but a little pain didn't hurt nobody. You know, a little discomfort, I should say, didn't hurt anybody. So, power of now. And it can only be accessed through surrender and grace, because we're in a massive transitionary period. A lot of people are feeling it. And if you're not, beautiful. That's equally as beautiful. But I guarantee there has been moments in your life where you have felt it, felt the uncertainty, felt the pain, the confusion, felt all the human experience. But eventually, you got to your destination. But how you get there is so important. And I think that is the ultimate message that I want to get across. How you get there. And the word that I think about is discipline. There is no freedom without discipline. They say freedom is not free. And freedom is a paradox. Freedom isn't, I'm going to go out and do whatever I want. Freedom is, I want this thing here. I have to sacrifice X, Y, and Z in order to get there. Freedom is saying, okay, you know, I want to be in better health. So I got to get my habits and my routine in order. My eating habits, my workouts. Because once I get there, it'll be all worth it. And health is wealth. That's like the ultimate freedom, right? How blessed are we to be able to move around, to be able to speak, to be able to sense, to be able to hear, to be able to taste. And the other thing is gratitude, but gratitude is also a discipline. You can't just be like, oh, I'm grateful, and then just forget about it. You have to program and condition the mind so that you can see the good in everything. So what is it that you want to create? What is it that is feeling intense right now? Is it emotions? the only way to get there, to feel better, to get to the other side, is by grace, acceptance, leading to surrender, leading to the power of now, leading to options becoming available to you, and you taking actions on the given options. And if there's no options available to you, that is also an option. And that option is surrender to what is. What did the sun reveal to you today? Let me know in the comments below. And I hope you guys are subscribed, have the bell notifications on, so you don't miss a live as I go live, Sunday to Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If there's no other questions, no other interactions, I will sign off and enjoy the rest of the day. Much love to K Real, good energy. Appreciate you, fam. Thanks for being here. Thanks for everybody else being here as well. And everybody who joined. I wish us beautiful, powerful, potent new beginnings. And it starts Saturday, the 29th. Sending you guys so much love, and I hope to see you tomorrow in being one with the sun. Take care. God bless you always.